Scientists have recommended actions the government of Madagascar's recently elected president, Andry Rajoelina, should take to turn around the precipitous decline of biodiversity and help put Madagascar on a trajectory towards sustainable growth. Madagascar's protected areas, some of the most important for biodiversity in the world, have suffered terribly in recent years from illegal mining, logging, and collection of threatened species for the pet trade. It was found that while many companies express interest in Jacobson's use case approach, actual scenario usage often falls outside what is described in textbooks and standard methodologies. Users, therefore, face significant scenario management problems not yet addressed adequately in theory or practice and are demanding solutions to these problems. If bonus or incentive pay schemes work so well for senior executives and bankers, why does everyone not get them? After all, many jobs involve making important decisions or taking risks. Is there anything about corporate decisions and financial risks that makes these categories of work special in terms of how they need to be incentivized and rewarded? Very intelligent people often make the mistake of assuming that other people's minds work in the same way as theirs do. Economists, for example, create mathematically based models on the notion that people act rationally as far as their own economic interests are concerned. You don't have to look much further than family and friends to see how off the mark this idea is. The problem with a lot of such scientifically based theories is that they are not friendly to facts that don't fit the case. If countries can specialize in certain goods, they can benefit from economies of scale and lower average cost. This is especially true in the industries with high fixed costs or that require a high level of investment. The benefits of the economy of scale will ultimately lead to lower prices for consumers and greater efficiency for exporting firms. While the impacts of the world's mighty money capital such as the global secondary bond market and the big deals are important, the effects of overtaking New York rivals and dominating the foreign exchange trading such as no Sarbanes-Oxley and an ever-present threat of terrorist attack are significant, and the influences of groaning transport system and being expensive, such as offshore businesses in London, are significant. The casual observer does not necessarily recognize the skill in how a teacher, for instance, responds to a thoughtful question from a normally quiet student, and how that may be very different from the standard response to a commonly inquisitive or talkative student. Expert teachers are aware of what they are doing, they monitor and adjust their teaching behaviors to bring out the best in their students. Many people are under the impression that the water which comes out of a plant is clean. This is a common misconception. The function of a plant is to make the water cleaner, but it's not clean enough to drink. It could be used in irrigation. What a plant is trying to do is to simply speed up a process which would naturally occur given more time. This means that a plant can create water which is safe to enter back into the water system as it's so heavily diluted. The river then continues the water purification, acting as a form of the fourth stage. By this time, however, paleontological momentum had moved to England. In 1812, at Lyme Regis on the Dorset coast, an extraordinary child named Mary Anning aged 11, 12 or 13, depending on whose account you read, found a strange fossilized sea monster, 17 feet long and now known as the Ichthyosaurus, embedded in the steep and dangerous cliffs along the English Channel. 100 years ago, the largest city in the world was London, with a population of 6.5 million. Today it is dwarfed by Tokyo. With barely a quarter the population of London a century ago, the Tokyo metropolitan area has since mushroomed to 35 million, propelling it to first place in the Global City League table. Tokyo's phenomenal growth is largely due to a single factor: migration from the countryside to the city. In spite of the spectacularly high quality of life enjoyed by the vast majority of the people who live in the European Union, its inhabitants seem obsessed by the region's relative decline in the world. Slow economic growth rates and high unemployment have reinforced the impression that Europe is unhappy with today and unsure of tomorrow. One of the unidentifiable objects in this study lies just outside Centaurus A, NGC 5128, an elliptical galaxy located about 12 million light-years from Earth. The other is in a globular cluster of stars found just outside NGC 4636, another elliptical galaxy located 47 million light-years from Earth in the constellation Virgo. Long Island from Western Europe. Russia grew up without participating in the development like the Reformation that many Europeans, taking pride in their unique culture, find dubious value. Russia is, as a result, the most unusual member of European family, if indeed it is European at all. The question is still open to debate, particularly among Russians themselves. The uniquely scented flavor of vanilla is second only to chocolate in popularity on the world's palate. It's also the second most expensive spice after saffron. But highly labor-intensive cultivation methods and the plant's temperamental life cycle and propagation mean production on a global scale is struggling to keep up with the increasing demand for the product. The provision of accurate and authoritative statistical information strengthens modern societies. It provides a basis for decisions to be made on such things as where to open schools and hospitals, how much money to spend on welfare payments, and even which football players to replace at halftime. Major breeding areas and breeding islands are shown as dark green areas or darts. Open darts show no breeding records on islands and are also used for offshore sightings, that is from ships or boats. Other areas where species is not meant to be seen are plain pale green, with pale green hatching where records are usually sparse.